I had an intro I recorded earlier, but it was lame. What if I was just doing this instead? Let's get to the figures.
Before we get into our tasty new friends, the packaging is worth a little bit of a spotlight, I think. The way they've been doing it now, these sick rectangles, they've been doing the movie stuff like this for a little bit longer. I very much approve. I like that better than the bulbous old style. You get these are like the promotional images, you know what I mean? The concept stuff going forward. And of course, that's how they're going to base the figures, because he didn't really appear like that in the movie. We'll get into that. The boxes look great. You get that same shot over here. Wolverine, these are just thumbtacked on. Legends series, all this cool stuff on the back. A broken and shame-fueled Logan reluctantly joins Deadpool's side to fight for their survival. And a shot at redemption. And you get these guys, and then we got the Headpool, comes with the Logan. We're not looking at him today. This is a Deadpool and Wolverine movie. There's only room for the one Wolverine. What am I saying? You guys have seen that, right? There's plenty of Wolverines in there. But today we're looking at these. You get the scratch there, you get the thing there. This is going to be similar. You're going to get that same promotional shot on either side there. Having hung up the Deadpool suit after a midlife crisis, Wade Wilson is forced to wield the katanas once again to save his universe and finally find a higher purpose. This is what I wanted to take a look at here. It looks like the same insert in both of them. Look at that. That's fun, right? This is very on brand, all the way back to the first Deadpool movie with the little crayon doodles and so forth. That's a lot of fun. Come on. Best buds, little unicorn, a little bit of Headpool, a little bit of riding the unicorn. Great, that's great. That's great stuff. Okay, out of the package, we will look a little closer at Deadpool. Looking fresh, clean, crispy. This is a newly sculpted body here, very similar to the other one, but that's how Deadpool's costume is done. You know, like the Marvel stuff, there's very obviously a mandate to change up the costume multiple times for all of their characters. Again, Spider-Man wore 5 different costumes in that last movie, just the one Spider-Man, you know, just in an effort to sell toys. But Deadpool, you know, he eschews that trend, wears the same costume again and again. But in this one, for the Disney debut, he gets a fresh, clean one, and you get a fresh, clean, pinless figure. Looks pretty nice. Again, very similar to the other release, and I believe this is the same head sculpt. Tightening up on that detail, you can see all of that nice texture. Eyes sculpted in there, and you get all the nice seam lines, basketball texturing, this little thing on the back here. The neck, the collar, the scabbards. A lot of these accessories, the overlays are the same. They're just painted a little bit differently. I'm actually tripping. The overlays are new. Even when they're the same frickin' thing, they just newly sculpted them, even though they're the same. Everything just looks a little brighter, a little cleaner. We got gold on the hands. First movie, it's black. Second movie, silver. This third one here, it's got gold on the hands. Coming down here, again, it's going to be very similar. The seam lines are going to be in the same place and things like that in a lot of ways. Knife sheath is going to be on the other side there. Boots are going to be different. They got this little shingling thing going on. We got peg holes on the bottoms of the feet. Probably you're going to find a date of, 2024 right there. I think it looks super clean. I love all of these little details. They may well give us like a dirtier one later, not a huge deal. The other one, the older Deadpool, is a little more dingy looking. And again, I thought, you know, fitting, it's a new start, but also it's Disney. It's like it's gonna be real bright and colorful. These guys are they're about the same size too. Wolverine's just a little bulkier. I think they're close in height, the real dudes behind the costumes, you know what I mean? This is kind of exciting, though. We haven't had an MCU Wolverine for the Disney stuff, and the bright blues and yellows. Of course, it's too bright, even at the beginning of the movie. You know what I mean? But it's Hasbro. They're not into washes and stuff these days. Feel free to add one if you like. Dirty them up a little bit. This head sculpt is okay. These are super soft. The one is kind of warped a little bit. I'll straighten those out, but you get that similar basketball texture, little seam lines everywhere. I don't want to accuse Hugh Jackman of being lazy, because he came back for this stuff, but we know that Wolverine has mutton chops, and so why did he have a chin strap beard? And the hair was the stupidest looking hair yet. It's like you couldn't go back to when you finally got it right and just keep rocking that. I know it's a different guy or what have you. I was, as an aside, I was figuring that out from the claw housings on the glove. I'm like, I bet this is dude from another universe. We don't know what any of this is. Look at us now. These little rivets and stuff are painted on there. You get this extra. It looks good for what it is, for the basic Hasbro. You had to expect that they weren't going to give you a nice wash on there. It is pinless. The yellows, the blues, they're bright, they're popping, that little bit of extra red there. Also, of course, too, promotional artwork and so on. They changed up the look as the movie would go, but he never had the sleeves and the mask at the same time. It would have been cool, though, if he lost the sleeves, kept the shoulder pads, and had the mask, but we couldn't quite get there. Were they trolling us? They knew that we really, really wanted to see it that way. It is what it is. Not a huge deal. Again, all this great texture and all these extra seams that are just not necessarily necessary, but it's great. And the way that they do their MCU stuff, you get all that extra texture. It's like, where are they going to do that sculpt again? Well, hopefully in different versions of this guy without sleeves. I really don't like the way that they've done the shoulder pads. You can see it's just pegged onto the outside here, so that anywhere you go, it's going to follow you around and obstruct you at every turn. You get these nice fatter claws that they've been doing, though. Huge fan of that. Stuck right into the housings. The housings are looking clean. They're just plastic, though. It's not painted. Paint his freaking claws a metallic color. How dare you? A little basketball texture everywhere you go. Peg holes on the bottoms of the feet. You're going to find another date of 2024. Aesthetically, I mean, it is what it is. Of course, they're not perfect, but if you're used to the Hasbro stuff, of course you knew they weren't going to add you a bunch of extra paint detail. Anywhere they can, they're just going to run with the cast plastic. It's the bespoke paint jobs that are going to cost the most anyway. McFarlane has been doing it the same way forever, and if anyone's paying attention there, it's a lot of black and gray on his end. So I'm not mad about it. They do look fresh and crisp. I wish that they had all this sorted. You know what I mean? Swappable arms or something. Don't sell me another figure without the sleeves. Coming back for that articulation, the head is on this little double ball peg. We could separate that and it came with the head that time. How nice. The neck is a separate piece and it turns, but it's not really going to give you extra movement. But check this out. Stick that back on there. You can actually push this way back like that and it will stay. That was not true of the last release. These shoulders are butterflied in there. They'll come back this far.
Butterfly that shrimp.
Like that. And they come forward a good bit too. Enough for him to be able to get two hands on stuff. I like that. They're going to come up past a 90 even. They rotate all the way around. You get that nice bicep cut that's going to twist famously. Double jointed pinless elbow folds all the way in half. Looks a little crazy, but it's fine. You know, wrists pegged in and they have the hinges all going this way, this way. Here at the waist, they just won't catch up to the new hotness, but you get the ab crunch. He comes down like this far. Goes back a little. Watch those scabbards. They're soft, though, and a waist twist. Boo! You know, but it will twist all the way around. Watch out for all this crap. Down here, the legs are going to come out to the sides. He can't quite do the splits, but he can kick forward a little above a 90. Coming back, same deal. He's got that upper thigh cut that will twist all the way around. Nicely hidden by all the straps. You can fold these legs pretty well in half here. Doesn't look too crazy. Proportionally, I think that's about right. Bring that back. No boot cut, though. But you do get feet that come back like this, forward like this. And you get that nice ankle rocker. So, perfectly standard Marvel Legends style articulation. It would be nice if they could see their way to updating the movie figures. But the movie stuff is, honestly, it's a whole different animal. You know what I mean? Jumping on the Jackman, his head has that same system going on. The neck is a separate piece. It does not move, though. And you can force this back, and it doesn't stay quite as well as Deadpool's. They don't compare notes, or they do, and he's like, well, that's all I could get, and then they stop caring. It's fine. What's not fine, again, is these shoulder pads, though, because you have these nice butterfly shoulders, but them being attached means they don't get out of the way. They actually stay in the way any way you put them. You can bring these forward a little on the butterflies, back a little, but we're running into the pad again. Okay, check this out. The way that the shoulder is designed, it's actually more a McFarlane style, the ball in a cup thing that they do. They just create a bigger gap here on the torso, and they add this intermediate piece, you know. So you can actually bring this up on there to get the shoulders higher. People complain about Hasbro and their droopy shoulders, right? But the issue is the way that this is pegged on here means if the arm's down to the side, then the shoulder pad is slipping off. To get it up on the shoulder, you got to bring the arm up like that. Come on. They will, of course, rotate all the way around. They twist on that bicep cut. They fold way in half. Hinges do how hinges do. They'll come back like this. They'll come forward like this. That collapses in pretty well. And if you want to, those claws do those yank out of there? Leave the claws alone. They look good. They look good. I mean, for being unpainted, you know what I mean. Same thing at the waist here, though. You're going to crunch forward. Crunch is like way forward. That is cool. Back a little bit, but then we're going to twist as well. His crotch piece is like, it looks bigger than Deadpool's just based on, yeah, it's bigger and more prominent. I don't think it's out of line, you know, it's not, whatever. The legs come out to the sides pretty far, not full splits, but they come forward 90. They'll come back that way if you twist them to the side a little. You get that thigh cut. Breaks up the blue a little bit. Not a big deal. Gotta have that thigh cut. Double jointed pinless knee. Comes way up here. Proportionally, we're looking pretty good again. Really good range on those. No boot cut though. But, feet come back. Feet come forward. Feet go this side. Feet go that side. Pretty standard. Better than average. Nothing groundbreaking. Moving on. And the claws do come out of there. It's the whole piece. You see it now, it pegs down. Okay, nobody wants to watch me put them back in. Kitting them out with the accessories, they meet some minimum requirements, but nothing crazy here. For Deadpool, it's actually most of the stuff that we have seen before. You get these same pistols here. They look really good. Just black plastic. He comes with trigger figure hands, also with the gold on there to hold those suckers. Perfectly believable. You get the baby knife down here in this little sheath. Comes right out. It's a couple of colors at least. And it locks into there pretty well. It's not going to fall out. Swords on the back. Yeah, a little smaller than your normal Marvel Legends stuff. You do get a nice metallic paint on his blades, though. Of course, they're going to go in like such. And I'm pretty sure we're getting some of the same hands that we've gotten with Deadpool before. Nothing wrong with that. You don't get a lot, though. You get these two smaller grabbers and then the two trigger fingers. No fists or open palms, but if you have a previous release, again, you just won't have that gold. Hugh gets a couple extra hands with the claws retracted here. You get a fist for this side, and you get a sort of a, come here a minute. And they're detailed pretty well. A little cleaner on the claw housings on the front there would be nice, but they've got that same texture. Sculpted the little lines in the housings. This is his alternate unmasked head. I think that it looks great. I do think the hair is a little stupid, but that's a different animal entirely. You know, they represent it pretty well. It looked like he had cut it himself in the movie and was maybe even a little bit shorter. I was like, what is happening here? But really nice sculpted detail. And that facial printing. I mean, it's Hugh Jackman. He looks like he got whopped in the head pretty good or something, a little confused, a little huh? But I mean, you even get a little bit darker around the mouth there to show off the stubble. And I think this is a little more mutton choppy than what they had in the movie. I swear it seemed a little lower, a little more chin strappish. All right, real quick, let's check out a few head swaps for Wolverine. Pop this sucker off of there. Get this nice pointy one. I like these with the pointier hair. Finally, he gets like an angry, you know, he's growling, he's yelling at you. These pop right on there. They sit right, you know, ish. It looks fine. That's fine. This is super cool. You get a more classic, slightly younger looking old dude head. They got these other earlier ones. They would re-release the tank top guy where they've swapped the heads, you know what I mean? Whatever. You could have a yelling one, though, if you want this big whole mess of hair that they were trying to shape into a thing. He had his hair like this long originally, and they were trying to work it into something that made sense. That's, you know, it's cool to have a yelling head if you're good with all of this stuff going on. And that's technically, it's slightly more realistic depiction. Or just cutting it way short. That's the other way to go. Stuff like this is crazy. Nobody's hair looks like that. I mean, you spend some time in a mirror to get your hair to look like that. How long does he spend in a chair? We can go for the older one. These fit fine. It may be a little high there. I feel like it sat a little high on the figure it comes with, though. But that's also another place to get an older one. And maybe if you want to see him as a successor to just Logan, if it's just that guy, maybe he dug him up and he was there and he regenerated and he's this guy again. These are nice heads. I looked these up recently. I'm glad I got this pack. It came back around. I was so surprised. It's one of those weird ones where you think it's going to sell out immediately. And it doesn't, and it's up for a long time. And you're like, okay, fine. You know, glad I was in such a hurry to get it, I guess. But I looked it up recently, and it's it's double the price. Crazy for a suit body with a couple of Hugh heads and bloody claws. Looking at these side by side, you know, this is It looks really good, but he looks a little confused or something. Which, who can blame him? But these are just a little more clean, classic movie Wolverine head-ish. Like he couldn't remember that the hair looked like this, the chops looked like this. That's fine. That's fine. I do love that as a benefit to Marvel Legends. In most cases, you can swap all the heads. There's some where they didn't and you can't, and it's like, what happened here, guys? But generally, I love that. You buy another one and it's got complementary pieces, and you can kit bash within the line. I like that. A little something for us suckers that are buying them all. Checking the height, Wolverine is a hair taller, but they're both about 6.5 inches. Huge Jackman. Getting into some comparisons, here's a couple different versions of our boy. How about this one from the first X-Men movie? How about this one? And this guy. The Deadpools and the Wolverines are about the same size, so that's fantastic. Let's go dueling pools here for a better contrast. The bright one is a newly sculpted figure, but they're similar enough it creates sort of a cohesiveness. The old one's got a few more wrinkles and pins in the legs. The new one's looking fresh in the bright red and the gold. Fresh is so clean. Domino and Cable. I love the figures because they make all kinds of wild crossovers possible. Also wild that Captain America is shorter than Deadpool and Wolverine, but Chris Evans is shorter than both Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. From the comic figures, here's Remy and Laura. Hopefully we get versions from the movie. They gotta know we would buy those, right? On the import side, here's the SHF Spider-Man and Hulk. They make these gigantic Wolverine figures, though. It makes it harder to scale a Hulk, you know what I mean? From NECA and McFarlane, we have a turtle and a bat. Nacelle's Vinny and Unparalleled's Odious. And finally, back to the books, we got Hasbro's new Astonishing Wolverine, very obviously where the inspiration for this costume comes from. And the Marvel Legends, how about a nice cup of Shut the Deadpool Up? Alright, end of the day, these figures look pretty fresh, pretty clean. The Wolverine maybe a little bit too clean. The articulation is nothing spectacular, but for a Marvel Legend, it's pretty standard, you know what I mean? Pretty middle of the road. It's gonna be better than some, worse than others. Accessories, I'd say you get everything you need. A couple extra hands and an extra head for Wolverine. I always love an extra head. What else do you give that dude? But Deadpool's got the swords, the guns, the knife. They could always add some extra hands. We've gotten the unicorn like twice now. Not a big deal for these single releases. They look nice next to the other figures. It's really cool to be able to put them next to other MCU characters. And I love that all the hue heads swap. These, of course, aren't the nicest thing in the world, but I'm a little more excited just to have something from the movie now, and to have like an MCU blue and yellow Wolverine. The Deadpool is kind of samey, and all the accessories we've seen before. So if you have a previous release and you like the darker colors, you don't necessarily need that. But if you could find either of these at regular price, I think it's a good deal. I didn't pre-order Mr. Plainclothes. I think the head sculpt he comes with is a little different, and we do get a head pool. But I mean, I got a couple of those. I got a Legends. I got a Mezco. Got that Colossus, says it shows up Wednesday. I'm excited to have an MCU Colossus. End of the day, I'd say these are just fine. As always, I appreciate everybody being here. If you haven't yet, maybe check out the Joy Toy Turtles review that I got up here. It's a smaller scale, but these are really nice little figures. They are smooth, they are well articulated. The joints aren't loose at all, but they're nice out of the package. So much detail. Look at the extra paint on these things, man. I know they're a bit more expensive than something like this, but God, have you guys seen the SHF and stuff that's like 3 or 4 times the price of this? And it doesn't have any extra paint detail either. I don't know. All right, get out of here.